Let's see if I can get the voice right. Try the Whataburger new Smash Burger. Only at Whataburger. Only for a limited time. I know. I swore I wouldn't do it every time, but it's low-hanging fruit, and it's fun. And it's next on the DLLS Rangers podcast. Yeah, it was a special day for Jake Burger and a good day for the Rangers. That's all yesterday, and we're going to talk lots about Jake Burger during the course of the program. We're going to devote a whole segment to the heroics of yesterday that I know you have all heard about, but we're going to talk in detail about what a cool moment that was for the Rangers and a cool moment was for Jake. We've also got home run talk this early in the spring training portion of the season. So it's all coming up. I'm John Radigan, Rads, with the DLLS podcast and my partner, Jeff Wilson, over there. That's J-Dub. We've got the Prophet in-house today, as always, and a studio audience. John Moore from The Weekly Show is here. So, and look at, he's just so loud.
Jeff Kavanaugh.
Yeah, no, that's Kavanaugh, needless to say. So who will no doubt interrupt our ad reads later today.
Perfect.
Yeah, it's better. We like it. Anything for variety on those bad boys. So anyway, we'll talk, as I mentioned, Jake Burger, because it was such a cool story. We'll talk that a little later in the show. First, though, Jeff, it occurred to me yesterday, like, dang, not only are the Rangers hitting the ball out of the ballpark a lot already so far in spring, but when you look at that lineup, there is some power that, I mean, you got a bunch of guys. You can go pretty damn deep in that lineup.
Yeah.
And get double-digit home runs from, 7, 8,
9, 10.
9?
I mean,
10? Yeah.
Sounds a little extreme, but it's in them, and you've seen these guys all have double-digit home run totals in their career.
Yeah.
Now playing time's going to factor into that, obviously, but how many home runs is Evan Carter going to hit? How many home runs is Josh Smith going to hit? I think those are the guys that are kind of maybe potential question marks. Leody Taveras, I don't know, but you look at, I don't know, whatever 1 through 7 is going to be, and then you have Kyle Higashioka and Jonah Heim. There's a lot of opportunity there for the Rangers to hit home runs, and like you mentioned, they're kind of doing it this spring, and I looked after you mentioned it and looked at the spring home run leaders by team, and the Rangers are third. Yeah. First the Brewers, second the Reds, and then there's a big clot of teams tied for fourth, and four of those 6 are Arizona teams. So maybe it's Arizona.
Yeah, it might be.
Maybe it's Arizona. The thin air. Pitches don't do what they're supposed to do, and hitters can hit a little pop up and it carries over the fence.
Yeah.
It's just the way it goes. But this team also has a lot of power in the lineup.
It really does.
Yeah.
It really does. And in fact, it's got proven power. Guys who have done it many years in a row, like Corey Seager, a guy like Marcus Semien. What did he hit in Toronto? 42?
He had 46.
46 in Toronto that year.
Yeah.
So he's got that kind of power in him. When there's a list on MLB.com predicting who will be each team's home run leader, and neither of those guys are even they have a leader and then they have a key guy to keep an eye on. And that is the two that they're talking about are Jake Burger and Wyatt Langford. So they don't even, they had each of them at 31 for Jake and 30 for Wyatt, was what they were saying. But you got to, how many years in a row has Corey Seager hit 30?
Well, 3.
Yeah,
At least. I
at
don't know what
least
he. I
3.
don't,
Yeah,
three, all 3 with the Rangers.
yeah. So you've
Yeah.
got if you've got a bunch of 30 home run guys, a bunch of them potentially.
Yeah.
What do we think Josh Young could hit?
Well, that's just it. He hit 24.
Yeah, and he missed
and
a fair chunk of time.
I don't recall him if he hit one after coming back. While he was still feeling out the wrist. Maybe he did, but within those 5 to 6 weeks that he missed, could he have popped out 6 home runs? Well,
Sure.
yeah, sure he could have. So
yeah, absolutely.
it's again, you can go position by position. First base, you mentioned Berger. Second, you mentioned Simeon. Shortstop, Young. Third, Young, or shortstop, Seager. Whatever. Yeah. I had Texas Tech on my brain there. I don't know. Wyatt would have to make a pretty big jump, but he's going to be better equipped to do so, just having knowledge of the league to get to 30. And then, when Dolis Garcia has a couple 30 home run seasons on his ledger. So, yeah, why not get 4 or 5 guys with 30? Is it possible? I wouldn't put it past them.
It's certainly not probable, but it's a team that has certainly been built on pitching, but and that's what we've focused on so much during the course of the offseason. That's what Chris Young has focused on, will focus on into perpetuity as long as he is the president of baseball operations and has anything to do with baseball operations. That said, this is more like the traditional Texas Rangers team, right? It's almost like they really do have the best of both worlds, because that's the one thing you always knew about Rangers teams, going all the way back to the old days in Arlington Stadium.
Yeah.
They could hit home runs. It was always a power-laden team.
Sure, yeah. I mean, Frank Howard and Jeff Burrows, and then in the, I don't know, the 80s, you started seeing those international guys, Ruben Sierra,
sure,
coming around, and then
we didn't get many from Sammy Sosa, but
right.
He was here for a minute, and he did come back. He hit his 600th here.
That's right. And then the 90s, obviously, the 2000s, he had some guys, and Josh Hamilton came along and was great, and Adrian Beltre had some 30 homer seasons. So power, offense, the old ballpark, the jet stream, all of that stuff. And now I think they're still feeling out the ballpark a little bit. It seems like it's more friendly to right-handed hitters. I don't have any data to back that up, but it seems like there are a lot of home runs to left field. So
agreed. Yeah.
Anyway, this team has the power, and then unlike those teams, the thought is there's a good rotation in place.
Yeah, that's the beautiful thing about it. And the thing you worry about, you want to caution a little bit, is just that you don't want it to be too much of a focus on the home run.
Right.
But when you hear things like, what did Marcus Semien tell you at the end of last season? He wants to get the ball in the air more.
Right.
Well, again, just because of his natural power, his continuing strength and all that stuff, if he gets the ball in the air more, there's a chance some of them are going to go out.
Yeah. And you can say that about a lot of guys. I mean, Langford, that was one thing I thought that he improved upon as the season went along, because he was hitting a lot of hard line drives early on. And then when he got hurt, I know it wasn't what the Rangers wanted, but I think it gave him a chance to kind of collect his thoughts and catch his breath, but also work on some swing things that made a difference. And he kept working, and it came through at the end of the year. So, I've seen Berger's batting practice. He hits the ball hard, and we've seen Adolis's new swing that looks shorter and quicker, and he doesn't have to generate a ton of power. He is so muscular, but the power can come from the swing, and if it's a quicker swing, that's power.
And one thing I noticed about the Berger home run, and we're going to show it in the next segment, but one thing I noticed about it, and this is a very subtle thing that TV people probably more than anyone noticed, but the camera, as it started to follow it, stayed low, as if it was going to be kind of a line drive, maybe get to the wall. And then all of a sudden, the camera raises up a little bit like, holy crap, it's going out,
Yeah.
Which means it's one of those home runs that never got more than about 8 feet off the ground,
Yeah.
If it had been hit at the outfielder, he might have been able to jump and catch it. And those not only are they're amazing to me, but they get out quick.
Yeah. And, the times I've watched him take BP, it's not I don't know. It's not a stance you see. You see a lot of guys who are more horizontal these days. He gets down pretty low, and is generating the power. It's kind of a wider stance. I think that his one of the reasons the Rangers got him is because he hits fastballs.
Yep, no doubt.
And that's something that Aaron has pointed out there in the chat. He hits the fastballs. He hits right-handed hitters and those or right-handed pitchers, and those are things the Rangers didn't do well. I mean, they didn't do a lot of things well last season offensively, but those two stood out. And so those are he's a kill two birds with one stone guy, and I'm looking forward to it. He seems like he's a big guy, no question about it, but he's kind of soft-spoken. He's a gentle giant, maybe. I don't know, and. Maybe he's got the Whataburger thing coming. Maybe the Jake's, the Jake's Burgers, that restaurant Jake's.
Be
perfect,
one of my favorite burgers out there, actually.
And if he wants to get with me, maybe we can talk marketing and how to move forward.
A good idea.
I mean, I'm sure his agents haven't thought about it at
all.
No,
not even a bit. Yeah, I did see our buddy Groobs, Michael Gruber. You know him as Groobs on Twitter. He was in the, I think it started around the time of the 10 and 11 teams when Twitter was really just taking off, and he was, the king of the nicknames. And they said, "What are we going to call a Jake Burger home run on Twitter yesterday?" And Groove said Smash Burger, and I like that. And which is also a former chain, and it was owned by a couple of Cowboys. But I don't know if Smash Burger's
it's still around.
Is it?
Sure.
Yeah. I haven't seen any Smash Burger. There used to be one right there in Mansfield that I loved. Oh man, that was a great one.
Smash Burger. I'm gonna do a little search for it. Yeah, still a thing.
Still a chain.
There you go.
Okay, beautiful.
Yeah.
So that's what, and we got more burger stuff coming up. We want to share videos and talk about the wonderful moment that it was yesterday. But it's nice to know that you've got a team, right? That what that suggests is balance. You look at other teams in the division, for example, right? We know that the Mariners have a great pitching staff, but they can't hit, right? I mean, they've proven
cannot
it.
Hit.
Maybe Edgar Martinez, as sort of the major domo of hitting there, will be able to get them out of that.
It's not like he was a huge home run hitter, though. He had some good home run seasons, but he's
no.
He wasn't hitting 50 a year.
No, he wasn't.
He was an average guy and doubles and could get it out of the park, no doubt. But I mean, they can't hit. And then, the Astros have lost Kyle Tucker, and I mean that's a big deal, man.
Big loss.
And then you're gonna be talking about Bregman not there anymore, and are the A's? What's that park just gonna play like?
Well, that's a good question.
And it's gonna be sizzling hot there. So is the ball gonna fly more? I don't know. What a team I left out. The Angels. Okay, Mike Trout comes back. They're still not a home run hitting team. So. The Rangers have a definite power advantage, and if you look at the postseason teams that made it, outside of your Tigers and the Guardians, not the teams that hit the most home runs are generally gonna be the biggest threats in the postseason. You look at the World Series. How did the World Series game one was won on a Freddie Freeman grand slam? And they were able to neutralize for the most part. Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton had a nice postseason home run hitter. So just kind of look at the landscape. Go back to the World Series at the Rangers and the ALCS. They won games with solo home runs early. Then Adolis Garcia got hot and was hitting home runs. In the World Series, Corey Seager won the MVP because he hit home runs. And then Marcus Semien capped it with a big home run.
Yeah.
I mean,
and the most heartbreaking loss or scary loss, that Game 5, home run by Altuve in the ALCS. Sure. I mean, it was home runs all over the place.
So teams that slug and teams that have some power pitching are going to do just fine in the postseason. And the Rangers are positioned to do that. I don't if the rotation's healthy, DeGrom, Eovaldi, and I don't know,
Malley, Gray,
anyone.
Yeah.
If that rotation, that's power right there. How would you like to face that? Go to, let's say there's a cold weather series. You have to play a couple games at Cleveland where it's colder than heck and you don't want to swing the bat and you have DeGrom buzzing it in there at 101 and you don't want to hit that.
No.
You don't want to hit that at all.
Your hands are going to sting.
It's just a big deal in October.
Yeah. And to your point about the World Series teams on that MLB list, They feel like the number one home run hitter in baseball this year will be Aaron Judge, 49. Number 2 will be Shohei Ohtani, 42. They said in the preamble that they're estimating conservatively. So there you go. I mean, that's the proof's in the pudding. It worked for them last year. We'll see what happens this year. The Rangers will be up there, though, and they'll have a depth of home run hitters throughout the lineup. Up next, one of the heartwarming stories of the season already. This is great, great stuff. We talk Jake Burger more in depth and the all-night sojourn, the journey that he had to get to that first Cactus League home run. That's next. It's the DLLS Rangers podcast. Uh-oh.
What do we got?
I'm caught. It's
you're
me.
Good.
Oh, and geez, speaking of Cactus League, if you're going out there, and I know you are because spring break's coming up, if you go out there for spring break, make sure you download the Waymo app before you go. Waymo are cars that are driven by modern technology, right? They are cars that are driven and you don't have to talk to a driver. You don't have to sit there and wonder. You don't have to, make small talk and conversation. They are
worry about how they smell.
That too. They're inexpensive. They're great. It's the latest technology. They're only available Los Angeles, San Francisco, and the Phoenix area. And I think they've already delivered 4 million customers in their riding. Right. So it's a hail. Right. It's not a ride share. You're not sharing the car with anybody. You hail it. They pick you up in a Jaguar, and they take you where you need to go. So you need to download that Waymo app and use it if you're in Phoenix.
And you definitely need to download the Sleeper app, which does not work in Phoenix, but that's okay. It works in the great state of Texas. So go ahead and download it. Daily picks. That's the game here that Sleeper is pushing after years as a leader in fantasy sports. Still a leader in fantasy sports, but the daily picks is just a ton of fun. And you learn some things after you do it enough. NBA can be tricky. Just when you think something's going to happen, a team gets blown out, and the coach says, we're going to pull this guy that needs 20 points at 18 and give him a rest for the second half. Or it's tricky, but it's so much fun. It makes sports so much more fun. I've learned a lot about the NBA thanks to Sleeper. So if you download the app, use the code DLLS for a up to $100 first match deposit.
Yep, it's a great idea. We encourage you to do it and have fun with it as well. We can't wait for baseball season to begin in earnest to really get after making some big money on Sleeper. I don't know.
I'm going to crush it.
Jeff will probably crush it. He's a savant, as it were. The thing about us, and we appreciate the chat. Keep the chat coming. We want to answer your questions later in the show, and we just want to keep engaged with you. Like us and smash that like button, or subscribe if you haven't already, although I'm sure most of you have. But we are not unlike Sleeper as an organization. DLLS, we're here to make sports more fun.
There you go.
Like, sports is fun anyway. We're here to make it more fun. That's one of our missions. So, cool. Be with us. Be fun with us. And yesterday was fun. I mean, there is no way around what Jake Burger did yesterday being just, it'll be a moment that people look back on, even though spring training games don't count, Jeff.
Yeah.
People will look back on this and go, man, that was a moment. The guy was at the hospital in Nashville where his daughter had open heart surgery. Penelope had open heart surgery at around 11 p.m. On, I guess that would have been Wednesday night. Jumps on a flight, gets to Phoenix, and arrived at somewhere in the 5 o'clock a.m. region. No sleep, goes to the ballpark, gets in the game, hits a home run.
Yeah, that's pretty special, and I don't know how many direct flights there are from Nashville to Phoenix. Probably a couple. A couple on American. And the good news is for him, at least, you're buying an hour basically,
right,
because of the time change. So that helped a little bit. But yeah, these guys, and we've mentioned it a lot, John. They're human beings, and they have families. They are very well compensated to be away from their families. That doesn't make it any easier. And you're talking about a a little girl who is 4 months old. She has Down syndrome. She had to have open heart surgery. Not she didn't have a ingrown toenail removed. She had open heart surgery, which is just frightening for anybody at any age. But 4 months old, and so for him to get the opportunity to make sure she was okay. Kudos to the Rangers for letting him go home to be there for what is hopefully a once in a lifetime thing for the Burgers. But as he said, when I was talking to him about it in Arizona, it happens every day for the surgeons and the nurses who are doing it. They do it multiple times a day. So they knew they were in good hands. They're grateful. Their faith has probably carried them through a lot of tough times here since finding out, I guess, about a year ago that their daughter would be born with the extra chromosome there, 21st chromosome, which is why he wears 21.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so then to come in to still have the hospital bracelet on,
right,
and to Homer, that's just a sweet thing. I hope he keeps wearing it till it falls off, and just keep it up, Jake. And a lot of people are rooting for Penelope. A lot of people can relate to what you're experiencing, and for him to use his platform, they want to start the foundation, which I think is getting closer to being a thing. It's just great, and yeah, that's a moment. It's a spring training game that doesn't matter who wins, who loses, but Jake Burger probably touched some feelings yesterday with that one.
Yeah, and just getting that wristband on over the hospital bracelet and then the gloves on and everything. Like, there were several different impediments there, or potential impediments to the bracelet, but it meant a lot to Jake to keep that on. Let's take a look at the home run, and I don't know if this camera angle will show it. You may see the line drive nature of this hit. Let's look.
Yeah,
you saw
they didn't
like
go very high.
No, they're going right along the ground, thinking, "Oh, this is just like a skimmer, right?" And it got over the wall.
Yeah.
That is just so much fun. And then I can't imagine the feeling of circling the bases again. It's never going to count in his stats. It's not a big deal, but that was a big deal, and everybody there knew it. Everybody there that he's interacting with, for sure, knew that he had arrived in Phoenix about 5 a.m.
Yeah, it's that's actually probably a good time to arrive to Phoenix because you get to avoid all the traffic.
Yeah,
but,
true.
Yeah, hopefully he sleeps on flights. I'm sure he can. These guys are flying all the time. Anyway, looking forward to talking to him when we get back next week. He's good friends. He was former teammates in the White Sox organization with Dane Dunning, and they were former roommates. And they had a year there where Jake had an Achilles injury, and Dane was recovering from Tommy John surgery. So they spent a lot of downtime together, got to know each other. Now that they're in very similar stages in their lives, each has a 2-year-old boy.
Yeah,
and then Dane's wife is pregnant again. And Jake and his wife, they just had Penelope. So there's a lot of similarities there. And I'm guessing while Jake is in Arizona and the family's in Tennessee, that he's able to talk to Dane a little bit. Has an outlet, somebody he can trust. So yeah, I think that's a kind of a neat story. And baseball is such a small world. Yeah, what a who could have expected that after Dane was traded to the Rangers and then Jake to the Mariners, that are not the Mariners, to the Marlins, that all of a sudden they'd be teammates again. So a lot of just feel good stuff.
I'm really is. And
I'm getting older, John. I'm getting a little more emotional in my
He's
my
about
older
to
age.
cry.
I'm not going to cry.
Here. Yeah,
no.
John Moore's never seen him cry. So and I don't think he really will. But
my wife's never seen me cry.
Is that right?
That's right.
Wow.
Yeah.
So go ahead, shed them tears, for God's sake. I cried. I never did till I had kids. I never cried, and then all of a sudden I cried a Kleenex commercial. I cry all the damn time now. I'm not saying I'm proud of it. I'm just saying it happens. So I love the way baseball has changed, and you mentioned it. that, of course, he was home, in Nashville.
Yeah.
They're going to make this their home too, by the way, but they've got to get all the logistics handled there. And one of the reasons is there are better doctors here to help Penelope to grow and to get better. But the reality is, of course, they let him go for that. I remember Dane, the team was on the road when Dane's son was born, and I interviewed him right when he came back in Detroit, I remember.
Okay.
And he had that glow, right? That first child, the first child born glow. And it was really fun to see him and all those kinds of things. And then to take it to that next level, like they get well compensated to do these things. Look, and they want to remain able to be well compensated to do these things. I was thinking about that when we were talking about Dane yesterday, right? He went and worked hard this offseason.
Sure.
To lose double-digit pounds is what he's reported. He lost a bunch of body fat. His body fat has decreased significantly, right? And what that tells you is, look, he's made a lot of money especially by other people's standards, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's made a career worth of money for a lot of working people in the world. But he is going to work that hard and live through those sacrifices to maintain this if you can, because it's just so great.
Yeah, it's like Caddyshack, the world needs ditch diggers too. There's that, or there's playing baseball. And if you're good enough to do it, why wouldn't you try to do everything you could to keep it up? And and Jake realized he needed to get back too. He has a responsibility to the team.
Sure.
And hitting home runs is why the Rangers got him. And by golly, he did it. And go ahead.
No, I was going to say, and if you're going to bring up my favorite movie, Caddyshack, I will bring up yours, because as sad as it is that Gene Hackman has left us, all over my timeline today were Hoosiers scenes, and I watched them all, and I got chills from all of them.
Yeah. No, the first one I watched yesterday was my team's on the floor.
Yeah, I saw that. That was the first one I saw today, and then then you see the end of the movie. When Jimmy hits the shot, there's no way that does not give you chills. I saw the huddle. Mm-hmm. What's wrong with you guys?
Yeah.
What's wrong?
Yeah. I'll make it. Yeah. No, I think Caddyshack probably is my favorite movie.
But it is.
When it
comes
to
me too. Yeah.
And is Caddyshack a sports movie?
I believe it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well then Hoosiers probably my second favorite sports movie then.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But anyway, hard to. Yeah. I need to watch it. It's been probably a year since I've seen Hoosiers.
Hoosiers, yeah.
I see Caddyshack in my mind constantly. So
I do too, but I actually sat down and watched it because my son's girlfriend had never seen it.
Oh man, Abby's never seen it.
Yeah, we need to have a party and watch that thing so people can understand. And of course, my son's girlfriend, like, huh?
Yeah,
like,
right.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
You don't get, and of course I'm laughing before the good lines.
Yeah, because we know what's coming.
This is going to be great. Wait till you hear what Rodney says. So
where does Slapshot? Where does that rank for you?
It's high, but it's not. There's 3 baseball movies ahead of it.
Okay.
And the aforementioned Hoosiers, and going way back, a football movie.
Brian's song. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, Brian's song. So if I had to rank them, and if we are, I've actually, honestly, until you just brought it up, I've never called Caddyshack a sports movie.
I don't know. It's like
I believe it qualifies for everything. I think you could call Caddyshack like one of the classics. Like, is it up there with Gone with the Wind? Oh hell yeah! Right? I mean,
yeah.
So Caddyshack is everything. But so I've never called it that. But again, my favorite sports movies have all been baseball.
Yeah.
Football. I think that's the only football movie, though, Brian's song, that I really think.
Well, One Large Scoop of Love is asking about Rudy.
Especially with my dad being a Notre Dame guy and my sister, I was a fan. And I actually met Rudy. I interviewed him when I was at Channel 5.
Okay.
But I liked it, but I just didn't love it for some reason. It just didn't. It wasn't as great to me as some of those other ones. It's a good movie though, and it's a heck of a story.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, it's a true heck of a story.
Yeah,
So,
Brian's song. I have both the Gale Sayers and Brian Piccolo rookie cards.
do you really?
Yeah. That's why.
Wow.
That's why I got them.
Wow. Awesome. So anyway, burger talk morphs into movie talk. We've got more talk coming up. It's baseball. We're going back to baseball as there are several teams that MLB predicts will launch themselves not necessarily from worst to first, but from under 500 to the playoffs. There's 3 of them in the American League West. We'll talk about them next. I know, on the DLLS Rangers podcast. But first, it's time to talk Rugged Road. Look at this.
There she is.
I've got my drink sitting on top of the Rugged Road, and it's still staying cold. I mean, that's how powerful the Rugged Road is. Are you kidding me? My drink's staying cold on top of this thing. Maybe the ice I put in there has part of the reason why I keep it's keeping cold. But I'm telling you, anything inside that cooler stays cold. It looks cool. It's light. It floats. There are so many reasons to like this Rugged Road cooler. So you should let your adventure begin with this Rugged Road cooler. Great for hunting or camping trips. Great for fishing trips because of the floating nature. Of course, it would be great to take on the river or somewhere if you're going to go float the river. So investigate one of these today because they're as good or better than any cooler you're going to find. It's Rugged Road Cooler. Use the promo code DLLS and get 10% off your Rugged Road.
You can get 10% off from our good friends at Foco.com also just by using that code DLLS right there. You see it. If you haven't seen our set, if you're audio only, like apparently Laura Stickles is, our set is partially designed thanks to Foco and all the knickknacks and such that you can get. Also, though, they have clothes for your favorite teams, beach towels, gardening equipment, gardening gloves, and of course the overalls.
Yep, overalls.
Can't forget the overalls. But Foco, just we can't thank them enough for their support of all of our shows. And we're looking at. I usually do an item of the day, but it caught me by surprise. But you can get like a Rangers bag or Rangers gardening gloves, Rangers overalls, all kinds of Ranger stuff or stuff for all your favorite teams. So go to Foco.com, DLLS, 10% off.
So MLB did a list of the 8 teams.
8.
They feel like there are 8 teams who were under 500 last year who are good candidates to be in the playoffs this year.
In the playoffs, okay.
Yeah. Now, it's very interesting because what they do is they list last year's record, and then their percentage as, determined by some mathematical analytical formula, their percentage chance of making the playoffs. Okay. So we'll start with number 8, the biggest surprise on the list to me of all. It's an American League West.
Oakland A's.
Bigger.
Angels,
who were 63 and 99 last year, and who that 99, by the way, represents the most games they've ever lost in a season. They've never had.
They were horrible. Just ask Nolan Ryan.
Yeah, that's right. And they've never had a 100-loss season. So there you go. MLB, in part because Mike Trout is coming back, and in part because, they improved themselves, and in part, thankfully, MLB mentions this, and it's Mike Petrello who wrote this, it appears, because of Wash.
Well, Wash is great. And Wash's track record, subpar first year, better second year, great third year. So this is his second year. And, you remember the 08 Rangers were pretty sporty for a while there. They had 4 All-Stars. That was the year Hamilton dazzled everybody at the Home Run Derby. But you'll recall that I think Michael Young might have driven in the winning run or scored the winning run. Kinsler was there. And then Milton Bradley,
that's right,
All-American guy.
Yeah,
he was there too. So that's a nice tip of the cap to Wash. So the Angels, aside from getting Trout back, they have Kikuchi, who they signed.
Yep.
Kenley Jansen in the bullpen. Travis d'Arnaud behind the plate. So some names that you've heard of. They have some nice young starters. Soriano, came in early last year and just shoved up the Rangers behinds and looked really, really good. So yeah, I could see improvement. I just don't see the postseason.
Yeah, and this list has a why they'll make it, and basically everything you just mentioned is why they won't. I don't. How long is Neto? Is it Neto? Is that Neto?
Yeah,
Neto's out. I mean,
he's not going to be ready for the opener. Wash said
said
it would be
yesterday.
April when he gets
but,
there.
He's going to get back. I mean, he had November. I think he had surgery. Does he have surgery in November? So
yeah,
and he was great last year. They had their battles.
They did,
and then he came around, and he came around to Wash's way of thinking. And so that was the 8th team, number 8 on the team, the list of 8. Number 7. Also a huge surprise.
A huge surprise.
Also
number
from
7.
the American League.
The A's.
Yeah, the A's.
Okay.
Yeah. And again, their thinking is, and again, they were 69 and 93 last year. And according to MLB's analytic department, they have a 4% better chance of making the playoffs than the Angels do. 13% chance of making the playoffs. And one of the reasons they say, well, 2 of the reasons are pretty obvious. Lawrence Butler and the signing, this past offseason. Actually, they list all of the signings, which is, not voluminous, but when you go get a picture of Luis Severino's pedigree and you pay $67 million, it's outside the box of what an A's team has done in a long, long time.
It is, and we kind of talked about it the other day when they had that graphic of the West teams position by position. Butler's a up and coming star. JJ Bleday had a big season. You're going to get some power at catcher from Langoliers and Soderstrom, who can play a little first base too, and Brent Rooker. So they have some pop in the lineup. They have Soriano or Severino, topping that rotation. So yeah, all right, I could see improvement there.
Yeah, I definitely could have seen them on this list.
Yeah,
I would have never thought I'd see the Angels. This is actually. This one might be the biggest surprise. I don't know. No, Angels is still more of a surprise. National League team
playoffs.
Yeah, 18% chance of making the playoffs. They're 6th on this list, but they have a huge showpiece. Everybody's watching this guy.
Okay, go ahead.
Paul Skeens.
Oh, the Pirates.
Yeah.
A lot. They have a young. Aside from Skeens, they have a couple good young starters in there. They added Andrew Heaney, who should be steady. I don't know how much they're going to score, how consistently they're going to score. O'Neal Cruz is such a talented guy, and I think he's going to be in center field for him this year. So, I'm not terribly surprised by that one.
Okay,
I'm really not.
All right. So number 5 on the list, I believe, makes it here as much as anything because of who they got as their new manager.
The Cincinnati Reds.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, no, they were close to being a playoff team in 23. I mean, it was the Diamondbacks beat them out on that last weekend, really. And Ellie De La Cruz is so talented. They have some good young pitchers if they can ever get them to stay healthy, like Hunter Green and Nick Lodelo, the old TCU kid. Keep them healthy. They made the trade with Kansas City with Jonathan India for the right-hander whose name is escaping me, Brady Singer. There we go. So some reason for optimism in Cincinnati. The ball travels there. They can pitch a little bit. They have a decent chance, and they have a good closer too, Diaz. I think maybe if they aren't in contention, that closer Diaz could be somebody the Rangers should look at.
Good question. Good thought. And so now we're
getting Terry Francona. Did we say Terry Francona, the new manager?
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, that's all you need to say.
Yeah.
Now we're getting into the top 4, and you're wondering, okay, where? Obviously, we're leading to something. Where in here will the Rangers fall? They do not fall at 4.
Okay.
At 4, it's a team that was 80 and 82 last year. So they barely qualify as a team that was under 500, but they do.
Yeah.
They now have a 26% chance of making the playoffs. And they were very near and very dear to the heart of the Rangers manager for a long time.
The San Francisco Giants?
Giants. They've got a 26% chance
Okay.
of making the playoffs.
Verlander, of course.
Yeah.
Logan Webb, real good pitcher. So they're going to have a decent little rotation there.
Young-Hoo Lee, they say they'll get a full healthy season.
The Korean
from
guy
him.
they overpaid.
Yeah, seems like they did.
Yeah, but it's hard. Somebody, maybe it was Elijah the other day, said, "Who's the Giants' best player?" I was like, "Shit, I don't know."
Yeah, we didn't. We couldn't. We said Verlander.
Yeah, we did. I was like, I mean, Logan Webb, sure, but it's like I don't want to say Lawrence Wade. That's not his name. Something Lamont Wade Jr.
Let me see. If
I'm embarrassing myself.
Yeah,
but I'm not embarrassed. They're the other league, and they don't really.
They
count.
are, and they're Giants and all that.
Yeah,
Robbie Ray fully available.
Oh, Robbie Ray, that's
Logan
a good one.
Webb. Yeah,
Logan Webb. What have I been calling him?
I think you said Logan. I think you were saying Logan.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think
he's pretty good though.
Yeah, he is. The third place team on the list, also 80 and 82 last year. So that's not the Rangers. 35% chance of making the playoffs out of the always stacked American League East.
The Tampa Bay Rays.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll be curious to see how the ballpark plays, where they'll be playing their home
kidding.
games. Legends Field, where the Yankees have spring training. So that'll be interesting. But yeah, they're just good. They're just a well-run organization.
Always. Every year.
Kevin
It's
Cash,
amazing.
they stick to their formula. They stick with the numbers, live and die by them. Killed them in a World Series potentially. But they're good. They do turn over that roster though. That roster gets turned over all the time.
Yeah, and I tell you this, I really wonder. I mean, they're going to play the season and probably next, and maybe the one after that, if I'm not mistaken, at that Legends ballpark.
Mm-hmm.
It rains every afternoon, man.
It does.
It does. When we're there in the summer for Tampa games,
always rains.
And we're inside. But always getting from the car to the stadium can be dicey.
It can be.
It's raining every damn day around 4:00. So
yeah,
I don't know how this. But no, it doesn't last very long. I'm not positive they'll get a lot of rain delays because it's usually over pretty quickly. But rains every day.
Yeah. Okay. Matt Chapman, Sam Huff has a chance to make that roster because one of their catchers, Tom Murphy, had to have I don't know if he had to have back surgery, but he has a herniated disc. So maybe Sam Huff makes that team.
The American League East is represented at number 2 as well, a team that was 74 and 88 last year.
The Blue Jays.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah. Well, they made some additions. They swung and missed, and then they maybe got lucky on the Santander.
No.
Yeah. Max Scherzer had a nice outing in his spring debut just the other day. So okay, they were a decent squad not that long ago. Their manager's kind of on the hot seat. Their GM might be on the hot seat. So there's definite impetus from above to be better. And again, they tried to make the moves, but it looks like this is the last year of Vlad Jr.
Get one for Vladdy. Yeah,
maybe try to convince him to stay. It'd be pretty hard for him to leave a playoff team. But okay, that's fine.
Yeah. And the number 1 team that's most likely to make the playoffs after having a losing record last year with a 58% chance of making the playoffs. Drum roll, please. Yeah. Thank you. The Texas Rangers.
All right.
78 and 84 last year, as we know. What they identify, of course, first and foremost, is Jacob deGrom.
Of course.
Yes. And then secondly, the addition of Jake Berger and Jock Peterson.
Yep.
And then they bring up the youth. Kumar, Jack, Evan Carter, Wyatt Langford, who they put in bold blue, who was the American League Player of the Month of September last year. And they say that the AL West is essentially a 3-way toss-up, which since they've already added 2 more teams to this list, I guess that makes it a 5-way toss-up. I don't know what's going on there, but anyway.
I mean, I think the wild card race will be pretty interesting.
Yeah,
because the Central had 2 of the. Well, I guess you only have 2 wild cards, right? No, you have 3 wild cards. Anyway, they had a wild card. They had 2.
They had 2. They had 2. The Guardians ended up winning that division.
Tigers and Royals. And then, so who are you going to see? it could be a real deep mix, which would lead to a real active trade deadline. And if at the deadline it's 3 West teams within 3 games, you're going to see all 3 of them trying to get better. So that's just, Boston's going to be good. I know they were maybe a hair above 500 apparently last year, because they would be definitely on that list. So they're going to be contender. The Yankees will be a contender, of course. The Orioles are going to be very good.
I mean,
so you're looking at a pretty deep league.
Yeah.
But you never know what's going to happen. Injuries.
That's amazing when you think about that. Every division in the American League is at least 3 deep.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
That's pretty stunning. So it should be a fun season and lots of battles, and you might not get some sort of a runaway team, at least not in the American League this year. We're cleaning up next. It's time to back clean up. We're cleaning up the whole week's mess next on the DLLS Rangers podcast. But you see, no shacket today. It's warm enough for me. Jeff's chilly.
I'm just a chilly guy.
Yeah, he's a chilly guy. But for me, it's warm enough to go with the shirt sleeves today. So you should do that too with your new DLLS shirt. I got 3 more coming. I still won't be caught up to Jeff, but I think that gets me to 11. So I got 3 more coming, and I love them all. One of them's the St. Patty's Day version, and you need to hurry if you're going to get a St. Patty's Day one. You got one? Yep.
Oh yeah.
Got the flag.
There's a good chance I'm going to have one on.
Yeah, almost every day.
Yeah.
And there's the St. Patty's Day ones. I got that one with the leprechaun, and my wife asked me, "Hey, you want to get one of those for your dad?" Well, my dad doesn't drink anymore. And they do all have a thing about day drinking. So I'm like, I don't know. Get my dad one of those. But you should get one or one of those. Store.allcitynetwork.com to get your merchandise.
And then, as we keep reminding you.
Ooh, is this the last day?
Yeah. Become a diehard, get a free shirt. But this is the last day of the $48 offer. All right. Don't let this one get past you. I mean, it's the last day of February, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we want to get some more people signed up, make our numbers look better, make the home folk, the headquarters in Denver, make them feel good. And we want to make you feel good.
Yeah.
This is good. This is good stuff. And again, it doesn't just apply to the baseball coverage, this $48 offer. It's all of our teams. We have Clarence Hill in Indianapolis right now at the Combine. We had Tim Cato just in L.A. for the Luka Mavs first matchup. I'm going to Arizona again next week. Sam Nestor, our Stars writer, has been traveling some with one of the best teams in the Western Conference. Kidding. Is it still the Western Conference? Is it the Whales?
Yeah,
it's not the Whales. Damn it.
That's old.
Anyway,
they're all crazy.
Anyway, do this. $48.
Yeah. And by the way, they are good. Winnipeg's won 11 in a row. You don't win 11 in a row in hockey very often.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's a big winning streak going. I think the Stars are 9-2-1 in their last 12, and they're losing ground.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
Nuts.
But anyway, that's hockey talk, and I'm sure those guys are coming up later today, and it's always a joy to see them. Time to clean things up today and tonight. Shohei Ohtani, perhaps you've heard of him. He will make his Cactus League debut tonight as a designated hitter. We're still a long way. We're not going to see him pitch in the Cactus League. We're a ways away from that, but he has continued to progress along those lines, throwing bullpens and things like that. Tonight, he makes his debut as a hitter to see if he can get to that 42 home run total this season. Not that these would count, but see if he can get there like MLB predicted.
Well, one thing, it is a late deal for him, a late debut, but he was injured in the World Series.
He was, yeah.
He hurt his shoulder, and he had to have surgery, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, after the season. So, that's another reason why he may not have as prodigious an offensive season as he did last year when he was 50-50 and, pretty outstanding. So there's the injury stuff that he's dealing with, and those labrum tears, they can be tricky. They can be real tricky. Then the elbow situation, and when he'll be pitching, and how much attention will pitching take away from his daily preparation to be a batter. So there are reasons to take the under on some
numbers,
offensive projections for those of you who are into future bets and things like that. I could see taking the under, but of course he's going to be very good. But it'll be interesting to see how he's feeling and how the rest of his spring goes. Of course, they start a little earlier.
Yeah,
those Dodgers start earlier.
He's got to be ready in 18 days. I mean, he's got to play. Now, again, they're not going to mortgage the season to make sure he can play in Japan, but he's got to play.
Yeah,
you know?
of course. He's the biggest star in the planet, really, when it comes to baseball, and a lot of it is because he's from Japan, and they're just Dodger crazy and Shohei crazy over there. So that'll be interesting to watch. Little underlying storyline. I mean, maybe he'll go out and hit 9 home runs in 2 games in Tokyo, and all these. Everything I just said will be moot, but
sure.
I think that there are some potential road bumps, speed bumps for Mr. Ohtani this season that will slow him, not derail him.
That's right. And speaking of international stars, that kid that hit the home run off Roki Sasaki in that
Kyle Teal.
I couldn't think of his first name.
Yeah.
He's become an international star. He's being interviewed all over Japan. Like, what was it like to hit a home run off Sasaki? He's like, just hit a home run. But anyway.
That's very funny. That makes me think of Darvish's first spring. He got there early. A lot of us got there early in anticipation of him. And so Darvish threw a bullpen, and he was not made available to the media, and we were looking for just information on it, and so were the folks from Japan, our fine friends from Japan, and he threw a bullpen session, and it wasn't even like camp hadn't even started yet, and the guy who caught it, we found out, I don't remember his name even. But he was a minor league catcher and had kind of been a journeyman. And, man, he was a star for a day. They could not get enough of him in Japan. And they were asking him all kinds of questions. What was it like? How is his splitter? Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. It was hilarious. I want to say his name was Luis Gonzalez, but I don't think that's correct. But anyway, if you guys remember what his name is, let me know. But that was pretty funny.
That was such a scene. I remember that the Good Morning America of Tokyo, right, of Japan, their anchors were in Surprise.
Yeah.
Doing the show. Remember the tent? In fact, I just saw they had a tent, which they don't normally have at spring training. They had a big tent, like a party tent, set up on the grounds there in Surprise. And I just saw a picture of one of the very first press conferences that you did, one of these back in history, back in time tweets on my timeline. And I zoom in. It was from over Yu's shoulder, showing the mass of media there, many of whom, of course, were from Japan. But I zoomed in on it, and there you were in the front row, like the beat writers are.
Yeah.
And there I was, way in the back by the cameras, looking fairly disgusted, like, why in the hell am I so far back? Because I'm not sure I expected all that media. So anyway, that was a good memory. That was a scene, and I'm sure it'll be even bigger with what's going on in Japan on the 18th and 19th of this month. Sammy Sosa's back with the Cubs. He's at spring training for a week. He's helping a lot. I forgot to look this up. Why did he get crossways with the Cubs?
I think kind of
just the juice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because he hadn't been around. He hasn't been around for like 15 years or something. But he's back, and he's great. He's a nice guy. He was back here late in his career. He was easy to deal with, friendly guy. But anyway, I'm glad to see Sammy back in the game. We got to show you this. This celebration is extremely fun to watch, and you can't really bean a pitcher, but if this happened and he came to the plate, he might get beaned. This is how this guy celebrates every strikeout.
Set. Here's his next pitch. Strike 3 called. Caught the outside corner, and like we were told he was going to do, he jumps up in the air and does the splits nearly. Again, the look to second, the pitch, swing, and a miss with a pitch in the dirt. And there's the jump and the splits by Yan again after his second strikeout.
Jeffrey Yan.
Here they go, pitch. Strike three called. It caught the outside corner, and
Hey,
now the
all right.
hitter is
Right
going
there.
to challenge.
That was a
Mitchell
call
thought
on the
that
court.
was ball
Oh, we got
four.
a
Let's see
challenge.
if
This
he
was
might
this
win
was my
this
answer I was
challenge.
looking for.
And it's a strike. That's strike three. And Jan strikes out the
Touching.
side. Well done for Jeffrey Jan. 7th.
Did he re-jump after it was confirmed?
Well, it's a good question you ask.
and what if he jumps and it's not a strike three?
God, that's embarrassing.
Yeah.
Yeah, like if it's one of those umps that gives a slow call,
Yeah.
he jumps
I'm just
because he
saying.
knows it's a strike, and then I swear to God, first of all, it hurts my knee. The one that lands there, his back knee, it hurts my knee to watch him do that. A. B. And good for him. And his teammates are quoted in a story I saw about him saying he's a great guy. Nobody's going to mind. They know that's what he's always done. Apparently, he's done something similar, like since Little League. He's just a fun guy. He says, I'm fun. I'm happy. I enjoy life. I just want to celebrate, right?
Yeah.
And but and he says, I'm not trying to show anybody up. I know you're not trying to,
But you're doing it.
but it does. It does. And so anyway, he's in Colorado's camp. He's never pitched in the big leagues. It'll be interesting to see if he makes the team. And Jeff, if he does make the team, if he's able to, continue doing that without getting beaned or something else.
Yes.
Bat thrown at him. All right, one last thing we want to get to today. It's I saw on X today, Twitter today, that in 1989, Bo Jackson hit 32 home runs for the Royals, hit 100 and had 105 RBIs, and rushed for 5.5 yards a carry after baseball season ended.
Yeah,
Two professional sports, and he excelled at both.
Nobody like him. There's just nobody like him, and then his hip injury is the biggest. I don't know, not tragedy because he didn't die or anything, but
No, but it was
the worst.
bad. It
The
was-
worst
yeah.
thing that has happened to shit. I don't even know if I need to say that. It was terrible.
It was awful.
It robbed us of
Unbelievable
an
greatness.
unbelievable
Yeah.
person and player, and
And
he was good at everything too. There's
That's right.
documentaries. In high school, he was a star at everything.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. And there are so few that can do it, but we discovered that one of the best wide receivers in the game today had an opportunity to do so as well. Listen up.
Was you in there college eating noodles, struggling?
So I got drafted for baseball out of high school.
Oh,
So
man.
I had me a nice little check.
What position you was playing?
Center field. Yeah, I got drafted 19th round by the Padres.
How many rounds they baseball got?
It's like 30. So in college, I'll go out there in the spring, play rookie ball, and then I come back in the summer, get ready for the football. I'll tell you when I made a decision I'm going to play football. I'm in right field. I'm in the All-American game in Chicago. The first pitch was like 97. 97 off the real. I'm used to facing what? 80, 85. We still in high school though, so these are all high school players, and these guys probably go first round. I see him throwing an off-speed pitch, and it's like a 90 miles per hour breaking ball. Let me see if I can go up and hit this. I end up hitting it at the third base, like a little dribble to the third base. I end up beating it out. I'm on base. I'm like, bro, these boys throwing that ball hard as hell. Like, we in high school. Like, what it's gonna be like when I get to the league? Like, I said, nah, I go catch that football.
I'm going to catch that football. He catches it well.
Yeah.
It was Prophet. Was that? Could we tell? Was that actual video of him
Yeah.
doing what he said? That's an amazing get for whoever got that on that show. But that's a decision that. Well, first of all, when you can play both, most people, even football players, will tell you play baseball. You got a longer career, or potentially a longer career. You got guaranteed money. It's not going to beat you up as badly. But the other side of that is, like A.J. Brown's saying, man, look how hard they throw. This is a different animal.
Yeah. The Rangers have well, I mean, a lot of football players have been drafted.
Sure.
Michael Vick was drafted by the Rockies. Who drafted Russell Wilson? The Yankees or the
I think
Mariners?
it was the Yankees,
Somebody
actually, yeah.
and then the Rangers took him in the minor league phase of the Rule 5 draft. Shea Patterson, an old Michigan quarterback, you might remember that name. It's not that long ago. He was drafted by the Rangers, and he went to, I think, fall instructs one year, maybe spring training one year between well, it wouldn't have been fall instructs, so it would have been spring training around spring practices. Didn't work out. But anyway, these are talented people.
You go back to Dion, you go back to
of course.
Danny Ainge.
Yeah. These are very talented guys. I mean, I think Danny Ainge played in the majors before he did the NBA.
I think he did.
Yeah. So, anyway, just supremely talented people, and it's very cool to see. But there's no Bo Jackson out there.
There aren't any of those left. It's really hard to do, and it appears as though that A.J. Brown made a really good decision there, although it would have been fun to see what he might have been able to do on the baseball field. Not very many of those trying that or certainly succeeding at both in this day and age. So that's going to do it for another week of the DLLS Rangers podcast. We appreciate you being here each and every day. We're going to be here at noon every day next week. At least I am. Jeff's going to be with us, but he's going to be out in Arizona again next week. So we'll be looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Yep. He starts Tuesday in Arizona. Oh, we're going to have a big guest on Monday. We're planning to have Chuck Morgan in studio. So be by the channel for that, because Chuck is going to bring with him many of the promotional items that you will be able to get your hands on during this season. He'll tell you what they are and when to get them. It's all coming up Monday on the DLLS Rangers podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.